give us a new way of writing CSS, a new way of styling your web page. And that's basically what SCSS is all about. So SCSS or SAS is a CSS preprocessor. So basically what it does is that it reduces repetition of CSS and saves time. That's what it does. Again, SCSS is a CSS preprocessor and reduces the amount of repetition that we have on CSS and saves time. So what do I mean by repetition? So for instance now, if you are trying to style with your CSS, how do you style? So if we have, let's say we have something like this. Let's go to HTML. So I'm just going to have like a little bit of explanation on it. So let's say you have header, right? Instead of header, you have dot welcome, right? And instead of dot welcome, you have dot new, right? Now, if you want to style new, how will you style new? No, how will you style new? You are styling new. What's like the normal conversion that I gave the last time? Header dot welcome dot new. So in CSS, this is how you style it. You come here and say header dot welcome dot new, right? Now, one thing SCSS does is that it removes this entirely. So instead of saying you want to start dot new now, you don't have to write these three things out. All you have to do is what? Specify your header, right? And instead of your header, you can now have what? Dot welcome. Instead of dot welcome, you can now have what? Dot new. Do you understand? It's not. Eh? Which one is longer? Well, it's probably longer because now let me explain it to you. If you want to style header, you still have to do it like this. So let's say you want to style the three things, header, right? You start header like this. You come down here again. You start header dot welcome. You still come down here again. Header dot welcome dot new. So now tell me which one is longer. So this is how it's going to happen. The style that you want to style in this header that is here, you put it here. So let's say you want to say color, white. If you want to style welcome, you put it right here. So let's say color, black. The one I want to style for new, you put it here. Let's say color, blue. So what it's doing is that instead of having to like have everything on separate lines like this, you can just nest them inside of each other. So what am I saying? This header that's here, color is what? White. Write it out. The header.welcome that is here, the color here is what? Let's just give it anything. The new that is in this place, what do you have? Color here is what? I'll give it anything too, right? Now, instead of doing it this way, right? All you just have to do is specify your header first. Now, what's the color I want to give the header? Color of what? White. You understand? Now, since your welcome is inside of your header, all you have to do is just say dot welcome inside of it and then continue. They can give it what color of this. Now your new inside welcome, right? Instead of you still nest it new dot new, then you're not gonna have what color of what of Alice blue. Now it's still the same thing as this. So if you want to keep styling on your color, just keep styling. So let's say background on your header now, background color. Just keep styling as long as you are not what interfering with all of these things. Now this is how SCSS works. Just helps you. Yes. Oh, I said, do I use SCSS? I don't use SCSS again. When I first started, I was into SCSS. Like I felt like CSS was hard, so I was using SCSS for all my projects. Then, few months into it, not few months, years, probably a year, almost 2 years, I now like got introduced to Tailwind, and I never went back. Because Tailwind was so interesting, so I never went back. So one thing that you can do is that just understand all of these things. Don't go into Tailwind now. I will still advise you, do not go into Tailwind until like the next 6 months. Don't go into Tailwind. Still stick to this. And then maybe after that, you can go into Tailwind. But SCSS is something that you can ditch CSS for and just focus on SCSS because it is easier to use and it makes everything faster and much more, better. So yes, this is how you can work with SCSS, but this is not all, right? Before you can use SCSS, you have to first of all install a compiler because SCSS is not just it's not naturally on your VS Code. Was not naturally installed on VS Code. So what you have to do is first of all come to your extensions here and search for live SAS compiler. So search for live SAS compiler. This one with Glenn Marks. That's the one that you should download. So search for live SAS compiler. Then install. No, the one with Glenn Marks. Today is no longer available. It has depreciated. So install the one with Glenn Marks under it. So do you have access to it now? Who else has been able to install? Have you installed yours now? So again, search for live SAS compiler, the one with the live SAS compiler. Yes. Yes. Sorry? Yes. Yeah, the one with Glenn Marks, rather. Sorry, the one with Glenn Marks, not with it. Not with it. You can't even install it today because it has depreciated, so you can't install it. It's no longer managed. It's no longer managed. So use your deal installed. It has installed, right? Good. So if you've been able to install it, so just leave the extensions and come back into your code. Now, let us say how then do you now start writing SCSS? This is how you start writing SCSS. You click on the plus button here and you create an SCSS file. That's your normal, the way you create CSS. So I'm going to call this index.scss. Can we see it? I'm going to click enter. So you should see SAS file. I do not like it's actually not giving me. That's your own should be showing something like it's working now. So it should show something like this S that is here. Can you see it? Index.scss. Can you see this S that is at the back here? Exactly. So if you can see it, then you have access to your SCSS. So now this is what happens. So let me tell you how all the browser works. I spoke to you about Tailwind, right? I spoke to you about some frameworks. Tailwind, Material UI, which one again? Ant design, a lot of them, even SCSS. We spoke about that. Now, this is how it works. Your browser only understands 3 languages. Your browser understands HTML, your browser understands CSS, your browser understands JavaScript. Those are the 3 languages your browser understands. Now, all those frameworks that you are seeing, React, SCSS, JSX, all of those things, what happens is that whenever you write those things, they get converted back into those 3 basic languages, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, for you to work on your browser. So even the table that I'm writing, in the end, there's a converter that's converting it back into CSS, but just that I don't have to think about the CSS syntax of what I'm writing. So now, it's the same thing with your SCSS. Your browser does not understand what SCSS is. It's like a preprocessor. It's a preprocessor. It is not CSS. It is just like a preprocessor of CSS that you can write your syntax in, and then it converts those syntax back into what? CSS. Now, what now happens is that what we did is that we downloaded a life-size SAS compiler. So what is a compiler? A compiler basically just helps you convert codes into the format that your computer needs to read. I explained it to us in our beginning class that we have 2 types of programming languages. We have high level and we have low level. Remember, so when I said high level language are languages that you can understand. Low level languages are languages that computer understands. You understand? You can understand low level language, but computer does not understand high level because it is written in languages that you understand. English, French, a lot of people actually code in French. But I don't know. I've never done it before. So that is what it's about. But one thing is that for your computer to understand high-level language, there's a compiler that converts those high-level codes into what the normal machine language that your computer understands. Because that's what the compiler is. Compiles things into things that your computer will naturally understand. So what the compiler does here, that live-size compiler, is that it compiles whatever you write in SCSS into what? CSS. So your browser can understand it. Do you understand? That's why we have to download the live-size compiler first. So that when you're now writing your code, it's now going to convert everything back into what? SCSS. So now, what we're going to do is that, how exactly then do we now link it? So what you have to do right here is that, can you see watch SAS down here after installing your SCSS? Click on watch SAS. Now, okay, I'm going to do it again so everybody sees it. So I'm going to delete this. First of all, I need you to look at this left side. Please just look at this left side here. This left side that is it. Now, once I click on watch SAS, I want you to note what happens. This left side here. Click on it. Now, see what happened, right? It's created a what? Index.css file. What is it saying? It's basically telling you that if I write anything, now I'm going to open this and split my screen. So if I write anything like, let's say header, right? And I open it up and I save it, what happens? It is going to automatically compile it live into my index.css. So let us wait for it. So I don't know why it's not working yet. It should actually work now. So let me just write something. Let me write color, right? And let me give it red. And let me save it up and let's see what we have. It's not compiling. I don't know why it's not compiling. It's actually should be compiling. So it's not. No, let me stop watching again. Let me stop watching and let me watch it again and let's see what we have. Supposed to compile it automatically. Now, can you see it now? So it is now automatically compiling. So now, if I now go ahead and say, let's say .welcome. Now I want you to note what happens. Welcome. I want you to note what happens. If I save it up now and you check here, please note what is going to happen in this place. So let's compile it again. Let's say color of blue. Now, can you see that it is writing the same way CSS will write in normal code? But we're not writing it in that same syntax here. we're writing it in what SCSS syntax, but it is compiling it into what the normal CSS. Now, if I have new down here, dot new, what's going to happen? So I say color of indigo. What's going to happen? Again, the same way comparison is not about. Okay, sorry, this is actually not what we wanted. We wanted to put it inside of welcome, so it has to be inside of welcome. So if I put it now, as you can see, it's now what header.welcome.new. Do you get it now? Now, this is exactly what SCSS does for you. So after writing whatever you want to write, it now what as a compiler compiles it into CSS so that your browser can actually understand what you are doing. Clear? Good. So now let us start with SCSS and let us begin with something I think everybody should know. So I'm going to close this because we do not need the index.css or CSS map file. Oh, sorry. Did you just stop sharing? Mine is even. Okay, so those online, please can you still see my screen? And so far, do we understand what I've been saying? I hope it's clear to everybody. All right, good. So that is that about introduction to SCSS. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and check out the material and see. So again, why use SAS? So style sheets will definitely get larger. It will get more complex and harder to maintain. So CSS processor actually helps you. And basically what it does is that it lets you what use features that do not exist in CSS, like variables, nested rules, mixins, imports, inheritance, built-in functions, and all that stuff. Now we're going to start with variables right now. What are variables? Please, this is important. Again, try to like understand this this part. What do we mean by variables? Now, variables in actually, I think this is even wrong because there's variables in no, not JavaScript. There are actually variables in CSS, but it's not the same way you use variables here. They call them roots. But let us leave that. Now, let's talk about variables. What are variables? Please, this is important because you still do this in JavaScript, but in a different syntax. So please, I need everybody to understand it. Let us start with variables. So when we talk about variables, right? Variables are basically containers that stores values. That's what variables are. Again, variables are containers that store values. This is not important for you to know. This is not, sorry, let me rephrase. This is actually important and necessary for you to know. Because you use things like this in like multiple projects. You find them important for you. So when we talk about variables, we're talking about containers that actually store values so you can use them later. So for instance, let's say you have anytime you see a fearless bottle, anytime you see a fearless bottle and you write fearless, if you say this is fearless, why? Because first of all, they are storing fearless content, the drink, right? And apart from that, there's not a name to label that this is what a fearless bottle. That's what variables are. So now, for instance, let's say that in your website is a very big website, and you're going to be reusing certain colors multiple times. So let us open up this project, this fitness design. Let us see. So for instance, in this place, this particular shade here, right? It was actually reused in this place again. Now, instead of going around and trying to like use the same code over and over again, you can store it in a variable and just access it later in your code multiple times. That's what variables are. It's actually used here again, as you can see. Do you understand? That's basically what variables are. Now, why do we use variables? Again, this is actually used here again, and it is also used here. What you can do is that store it and use it multiple. Now, how do you declare your variables? So now, let me just explain that. So to declare your variables, use your $sign. So your $sign, where is $sign here? $, and then you're going to use your let's say you want to store your stock 3 colors. So you want to use these 3 colors multiple times. So I can say my $, and I can now say first color. Then I can give it what I'm going to copy one of these colors that are here. So let me copy this this color that is here now in the body. Copy it, and I'm going to place it still the same way you would using your normal colors, your normal HTML, CSS files. So I've stored my first color. Again, to store my second color, I use my $, again. It's not hard. $, second word, color. And I'm just going to use whatever is being recommended for me. Now I have 2 colors. If I want to, I can store the third color, and it is this. Now, if I want to reference, let's say I want to reference it in the header, how exactly will I reference this? All I have to do is just say color, right? Let's say I want to reference the first color. All I have to do is now call this name, rather than I was trying to remember the color code of this place. So I'll just come right here and I can say, oh, I'm referencing the first color with $, first color. Now that's how you use your variables. Is it clear to us? So you can just go ahead, reference this multiple times, rather than I was trying to remember this particular color every single time. So now for me to remember this color, I'll now come here again. Click, look for the color, copy. Go back again. That's a lot of this. So instead of that, just remember this particular variable name and access it multiple times. And that is how things like this will work. Now, just because of our time, I'm just going to go ahead and redefine all of these things that we did here with what SCSS. So now, I did not tell you one thing, which is how exactly do you link your SCSS file to your HTML? Now, it is very, very easy. Since you already know that you are compiling it into what? Into CSS. All you have to do is reference the compiled CSS name. Now, you created index of SCSS. When you click on watch live SARS or watch SARS, what happened? They created this what? Index of CSS file. Now, this is what you link to your HTML. Because whatever you write in this place gets compiled, and it is what coming into the CSS. So you have to link it to your index of HTML. So instead of style.css, I'm going to say index of what? CSS. So let's link index.css. Is it clear to us? No. Again, your index of SCSS gets compiled into what? Index.css. Your browser does not understand what CSS is. It only understands CSS. So you compile it into what? Index.css. So whenever you're writing it, all you have to do is reference this link that is here. Index.css. That's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that if you have style.css, you still link it there. Get it? So, but I'm trying to move the design that are here into what? Index of SCSS. I didn't get the question.
Index HTML and then style CSS. Now I'm asking that since you told us that we can use index.SCSS, can we instead decide not to open up any file that style CSS and just open up the index?
Yes. The thing is that style.css, yes, actually, yes. But this style.css, I'm not saying you should remove it. I'm just saying that I just want to like explain how to use.
What if I want to just
and
I do not want
yeah, you can choose to just use SCSS and leave. And if you've used it, I'm saying that if you've used it, you should choose. Are you using CSS or are you using SCSS? You understand? So now I'm just trying to explain SCSS here. So if I want to use SCSS now for the same thing that I've done before, I'm just trying to say, okay, this is how you're going to do it on SCSS. So it does not matter if you've done this before or not. I'm just saying that I want to explain with SCSS. So for me to explain with SCSS now, I don't need style.css again. So in my index of HTML file now, I'm now changing it to what I use the index of SCSS. So now I'm going to split my screen, and whatever I did on style.css, I'm going to change it here. So now in this place, what we did here is what to give it a body of what this color. So I can now say body, right? The same thing, background color of ash 4, right? F, then 4F 5157. I didn't say the variable. I don't do we really need the variable here? We're only using one color. If you check, it's only one. This is the only color here. Now, we're going to give you a margin of what 0 and what padding of 0. So if we check it out now, this is what we're going to have. Nothing. It should now be okay. No, this is it. So as you can see, nothing. It has not, of course, we're expecting this. Now, we'll go ahead and continue. So now we're going to start with the header. So we're going to say header, right? But in this case, what are we focused on? Left dot left. You see that I did not come down again to define it. So all I have to do is what? Display of flex, align items of center, right? So I'm going to have a padding of 2 rem. Then a justify content of what? Space between. Now, if you check it out now, it should be nice, aligned. Probably not the way we want it to, but it's aligned. The next one now is not going to be what? The BG. Now, this BG is actually under where? The BG is under class of right. So this is it. It's under the class of right. And right is under where? It's actually under left. So it is not going to be what? Inside of this dot left, you're not going to have what? Right. Right? And but I think BG is only once. So I don't really think, okay, no, let's just do it. So it's not going to be what? Your BG is under where? Right. Right is under where? Left. Look at it here. You have header dot left and what dot right. Then you have what? BG. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to have what? Dot right. Then dot what? BG. Do you understand? Now, in this index.star.css, what do we have here? The BG has a position of absolute. No, there's no, it's just the color. Don't worry. Absolute. We are going to have a top of what? 40 pixels. Then a Z index of what? Of -1. Then we're not going to have a right of what? 1 pixels. Then height 90 pH and width of 350 pixels. Now, if you check it out now, what do you have? Did it work? No, it did not work. That's because it's the problem. It's not .bg, it's hash, because it's an ID. So it's working like an ID. Let's check it here. It's an ID and not a class. So now, what's the next one? The next one is what's the hero image. Now, this hero image, again, you check where it is. I'm going to remove this index of CSS. This hero image is under where? I think it's outside. So it's outside the header. So it's not longer inside the header. So what we're going to have is what? Dot hero, then what? The image. So in this SCSS, sorry, in the CSS rather, do the same thing. So it's now outside the header, no longer inside the header. So dot hero, right? Dash image, img, then dot img. So no, img rather. So we have a position of what? Absolute. Then we have a top of 130 pixels. Yeah, we have a width of 300 pixels and a height of what? 300 pixels, 200 pixels. Now let us check it out again and let us see. Works better now. Now the next one is going to be the lines. So you just have to check lines is where? Also outside, right? So do the same thing for your lines. So we are going to have lines also. So it's going to be what? Dot lines. Then image. Oh, this is actually a mistake. CSS has now taken over. It's supposed to be like this. And not the normal way of CSS. So the lines, they were going to have what? IMG. So it's going to be what? Position of absolute. Right? width of 250 pixels, then a left of 58%, and they're gonna have what a z index of -1, and a top of 70 pixels. 70 pixels. Now let us check it out and let's see what we have. So I think my prettier is not configured because it's not giving me what I need. So let me just quickly configure my prettier. So okay, format and save. I don't understand. So I'll do this later. It's fine. So let us check it out and let's see what we have. So we should have now it looks exactly like what we want. So now we did the same thing, but now we did it for SCSS. Now let us just add some, other things. So for instance, this links should be, I mean, what's the color here? White, right? So we should have a white color. So let us do the same thing there. So let's change it to like a white color. White, and remove the underlines too. See? Yeah. So now let us do the same thing with this place. So we'll check where they are. So the links is actually under where? Links is under header. So we have header dot left and what dot link. So this is left, right? So be careful not to go inside right side of right. It has to be where under left. You understand? So check the line. Can you see the line? Left. So it's not going to go dot links. Right. First of all, you're going to have a display of flex, right? Just to make sure that they are well aligned. We're going to align items to the center, right? We're not going to give it a little bit of gap. We're going to give a gap of like 1.5 rem. Then we're not going to give it a 1.5 rem. We're going to give it a color of white. So if you check it out now, oh, sorry, that's yeah, is not that right? No, it's not. See it. Body header dot left then links. You understand? It's not. This is right now. No, it's not on that right. It's not on that right. We have 3 divs. In your left, look at it, please. In your left, you have 3 divs. First is what? Logo. Second is what? Links. Third is what? Right. You get? It's not on that right. Now, in this, is it link? It's actually going supposed to be links, not link. So if you check it out now, it is well defined. Then under links, you should have your anchor tags. Then give it a color of what? White. And then you're not going to give it a text decoration of none to remove those underlines. None. So I think 1.5 is too much. So we're going to give it 1 rem. So let's check it out and let's see what now. As you can see, we've changed the color to white. Is it clear to us? This is actually everything about. Is it clear? You've added stressful. This one is stressful. Which one is? That's why you think it's stressful. Use this. Just try. Use this one for 1 week.
No, that is
Right, another put inside.
Oh,
Do you understand? I think it's because you thought of that one first, shall. Well, this
Is it not that I mean I like other things because
actually you can easily trace back. So it's
well, like I said, you have knowledge of a lot of things. Just use the one that worked for you. This one worked for me till I left it. It's that means there's every tendency that if I don't explain tailwind now, everybody will say CSS is easier than tailwind. But I think this is actually easier. Why? Because it actually reduces the nesting and nesting and nesting. And it is also very, very important when it comes to what's the name? Responsiveness. Responsive part of this is easy. Very, very easy. So when we get to, we'll talk about that probably in our next class on Monday. Yeah. It's actually a long. Sorry, help us explain.
They just have to like so.
Then what's now relative?
I feel like relative is going to collect those space that.
Continue. No, I just wanted to, like, my eyes is already paining me. So continue, please. You are trying. Continue.
I feel like
Okay.
even no matter what you make sure. Like not push any other item around that.
You are correct. You are
I
right.
don't know how to explain it.
You are right.
I
I know what you are saying. You are right. But what I'm just saying is that that's not the major function of relative. You are right, too. Now, I need somebody to explain relative and absolute. You are right with absolute. You can place elements anywhere with absolute. Now tell me what relative is. Now, after you told me what relative is, you now tell me the difference between relative and absolute. Technically, I've defined relative like that. Continue. You want to help us? Okay, help us out. Or Mr. Kelvin, help us out. Okay, I think you were not here. No, help us with relative. No, what is relative? Just like what? Absolute.
But when you give it a position of absolute, it makes it invisible. Like it don't take any space.
So you see that you're actually right.
Yeah, place than relate. Because relate just like gay boys, it's basically there. Yeah.
So it's just like saying that. Do you understand the explanation? Let me explain it again. You have relative, you have absolute. Both of them, they do the same thing. What is the work? Allows you move elements from their original space to another space. Just the way I moved this particular this thing about that day. I was just moving it everywhere. That's what absolute and relative do. But relative is now saying that, oh, what did I do? Okay. Now, but relative is now saying that even if you move this thing away from here, even if this thing is here, the space that this thing moved for still belongs to it. So, for instance, someone was sitting down here, moved from here and came to sit down here. Someone was sitting down here, now my space be there to don't sit down for there. Get that is still space. But absolute is saying that if you move away from there, even if you are in this place, you don't exist again. Like no space belongs to you. You are just invisible, but yes, you are still visible to the user, but you are invisible to the other elements. That's what absolute is saying. Eh? Now, position of absolute is dangerous. Yeah. So relative. Do you get it now? So one thing about it is that absolute is dangerous. When I say it's dangerous, if you use absolute anyhow, it can disrupt your responsiveness. That's what I'm saying. If you are building for web, you have to be conscious about mobile. So you can destroy things that you don't want to know how to do. Yes, yes. Even if it's just a button, you have to be very conscious. Very, very important. If not, you can build website anyhow, it's going to work. It's going to work. You have to be very, very conscious. So that's how it works. So yeah, that is that about SCSS. But in our next class, now this is nested. Please try and read on this before our next class. So, but in our next class, we'll talk about some important things. Responsiveness. Talk about import also. We'll talk about responsiveness in our next class. But that's basically all it does. Now, also we'll also talk about some important things like let's say so we did pseudo classing in CSS, that over. Remember, we did overing. So we're not talking about how you can now even use the same over. That's one of the most interesting things about SCSS. you can using animation in SCSS is easier and much more, easier to use. So we'll use it and we'll talk about all of these things. Then, if there is still time, we'll talk about animations, CSS animations. But I'm going into JavaScript on Monday. I'm not stopping going into JavaScript on Monday immediately. But if there's still time in this course to talk about CSS animation, and let's see how everything goes. So that will be all. Before our classwork, we have a classwork, of course. So, but before then, any question? No, any question first. So you won't ask me about the classwork.
You not giving us the classwork. Just tell us what the classwork is about.
The classwork is about deploying to this thing. Marcel, not SCF. SCSS will be next week. Okay, so must it be in the or can we? Yes, you can rename it with my project.scss, but as long as this SCSS is there, this index does not matter. It can be anything but .scss. Okay, so any questions so far apart from Mr. Pius's question? All right, so I'm going to stop recording here and then we're going to talk about Marcel. So now I want you to